I got my first drum kit when I was 15, but I'd been playing the drums with knives and forks, spoons. In fact, I had a pair of drumsticks about a year before I had a drum kit. At school, whenever the teacher left the room, right, I'd start drumming on the desktop and all the kids would start dancing. I didn't discover, in fact, I was a drummer until I got invited to a party. And at the party, there was a band. And all the kids kept coming up to me and saying, "You've got to sit in. You must, come on, Ginge, play the drums." And finally, they persuaded me. I sat down on the kit and I could play. And one of the, I think it was the trombone player or the trumpet player, turned round to the guy next to him and said, "Jesus Christ, we've got a drummer." In 3 different musical projects at the moment. One is a world music thing with various musicians from various cultures. Then I'm working with the Masters of Reality, which is rock and roll, and we're just finishing up a fantastic album. And I'm also doing jazz things with Jonas Hellborg and Jens Johansson. At my stage now, I think I'm playing better than I was 20 years ago. What I'm playing now is much more controlled, much better. Are you ready to go? Oh, I'm going to get... Okay, so this is a drum kit, and I'm Ginger Baker. Before you start to play the drums, obviously you have to know how to hold the drumsticks. The right stick is very normal. You hold the drumstick thusly. These 3 fingers are used to control the stick. Here you have a pivot between your forefinger and your thumb. Now there's 2 ways of holding your left drumstick. The traditional method, which is how I started playing and how everybody played up until quite recently in the history of drums, maybe 25 years ago. The stick goes between the thumb, right at the joint of the thumb here, and comes across the fingers of your left hand. These 2 are folded into the palm, like that. These 2 fingers on top are used to control the stick in the same way as you're using these here, and you play the stick like that. Now, this came about from the days of military drumming, which is where the drums evolved from, where the drum was on the drummer's left leg, and the only way he could play it was like that, because this is pretty impossible. Nowadays, even military drums have made things where they come straight out the front and you can play match grip. Match grip, you're holding your left stick exactly the same as your right stick. If you're using the match grip, it's advisable to practice in front of a mirror and watch your hands so that your left hand should look exactly the same as your right hand. And it's exactly the same movement, these fingers controlling the stick. So there's the two methods. Bill Seaman was one of the first exponents of a match grip, and it is far more natural. Personally, I prefer the match grip, but this is entirely up to the individual. The sticks I prefer to use are made for me by Zildjian. It's a Zildjian 7A, 3/4 of an inch shorter than most sticks. And this stick was perfect size, perfect weight, and I really liked it, so I'm endorsing them. They now have my signature on the side. Zildjian 7A, yeah. It's a light stick. You're sitting on a drum kit. Now, you get them out of the boxes and you bang them. They very seldom arrive to you in tune. So we need one of these articles here, a drum key. And we need to tune the drums up. Now, I've just put a new head on this one. And when you put a new head on a drum, it needs a little while to play in, and you need to go around it after playing a little while and just take it up a whisker. Here's the problem here, one completely loose. Okay, now your tom-toms, the top head and the bottom head should be pretty much the same note. I always use two heads on a drum. I think it's essential for the ring of a drum to get the real sound of a drum. The drum head should be evenly tensioned all the way round. And then we get a nice ring. Okay. To me, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe a trifle flat, this drum here. There we go. You notice we're playing little tunes already. Now, when you tune your drums, if you're playing with a band, try and get your drums in tune with the band. So when the band tunes up, tune up with them. Maybe you'll have to let them all tune up first and then say, okay, let me tune up now. Tune up with the bass player is for preference. Get your drums in tune with themselves, in tune with the band, and then you'll sound a lot better. Okay, so we've got the drums, we know how to hold the sticks, we know how to tune them. Now we've got to start playing them. In the old days, I'm talking about the 20s, when jazz music and dance music first started happening, in order for a drummer to get his union ticket, there were 26 rudiments that he had to demonstrate that he could play. Now, these rudiments, there's various people differ slightly about what 26 they are, but there are some very basic ones that are absolutely essential if you're going to play the drums. Number one essential to me is a paradiddle. This is basically, it gets both hands playing the same pattern, leading with your left, leading with your right. It goes right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Even beats. Keep time with your feet. For a start, your right foot is on the bass drum. So we keep time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go. Right, that's paradiddle. Now, there are 4 ways of playing a paradiddle. That was the first normal way that you'll see written down in most books. Now, if you move the beat 1, we get a different beat. We get... Or we move the beat 1 more and we get... And we move the beat 1 more time and we get... Now we're going to be playing a track called Ants in the Kitchen, which is all the second version of a paradiddle. That's all it is, basically. Left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right. What I'm trying to emphasize here is that these basic, simple rudiments are totally usable on a drum kit.
Stuck in Indiana with a bug in my banana.
We can then put the paradiddle, which is into a different time. Here we put it into a triplet time. So instead of playing 4 paradiddles to a bar, we're in fact playing 3. This can, I'll demonstrate this a little now with on a drum kit. That is a paradiddle, which is what I call a paratriplet. It's a paradiddle played in triplet time. We can play other stuff with it. These things sound different, better than using the paradiddle as opposed to single beats. You can come up with some pretty nice stuff. Okay, we move on to the rudiment number 2, and to me, almost equal to the paradiddle in importance to a drummer. It's a simple mummy-daddy roll, played open. By playing open, I mean playing every beat. There's 2 beats with each stick. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, etc., etc. Faster is... You notice I'm playing every beat. Now, that's starting with your right hand. Obviously, you don't want to play everything right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. If you're a drummer, you also should be able to lead with your left hand and get this. Which leads to some pretty nice things like this one. this mummy daddies, we can then also move this one beat. So instead of starting with a double stick, we start with a single stick and then the doubles, and it puts the whole thing on a different key. We get one, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. We then put it into triplet form, the mummy daddy roll, and we get this. We can then put onto the drum kit, and we come up with some things that sound pretty good. I'll play a little rhythm to get into it, and then go into mummy daddy triplets, not paratriplets. This is playing a straight mummy daddy roll, changing the time, playing it in a triplet form. We can play that all sorts of ways. There's so many ways you can play a mummy daddy roll and a paradiddle. We could be here all day. Another paradiddle that we come across is the double paradiddle. Right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Now this normally is written in 3/4, a count of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now that's all well and good, but we will notice there's 6 beats to each pattern. So why not let's put it into a more comfortable time, 12/8, and we get if we then change our drum, instead of playing it on the snare drum, we incorporate the drum kit, and we come up with something that Philly Joe Jones played some years ago. I think it's on a Gil Evans record, which is a straight double paradiddle, played, however, on cymbal and tom-tom, and we get it sounds pretty nice for a double paradiddle, one of the basic rudiments. We can also put it on the drum kit, where we can get things like 1, 2, 3, 4. A double paradiddle used on a drum kit can sound pretty cool. The last of the simple paradiddles, there's several more difficult paradiddles which we will come up with somewhat later. However, the last of the simple paradiddles is a triple paradiddle, which is right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Simple. And played is the paradiddles. That's the basic paradiddles. Now, years ago, there's a tape of a young Buddy Rich playing a 4-bar drum solo. And what he plays is single paradiddle, double paradiddle, treble paradiddle, double paradiddle, single paradiddle, finish. And it sounds something like this. Buddy played it a lot faster than that, but I'm doing it slowly to demonstrate what the actual construction of the thing was. A mummy-daddy paradiddle, or conversely a paradiddle mummy-daddy. It's just joining the mummy-daddy roll and the paradiddle together. So we get right, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. And it's like faster, it sounds like this. We can then play it round Paradiddle Mummy Daddy. Which is right, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, and so on. It's just joining two of the most simple rudiments together. However, you try it, it will prove a little more difficult than you think. If I play a little solo thing now, incorporating mummy daddies and paradiddles, you can see what things can sound like. We'll start off with a little bit of time to establish the 4/4 of where we are, and then I will start playing. Okay, there, all I played, believe it or not, were paradiddles and mummy daddies. That was all I used in that little section of music. With a drum kit, you have many, many sounds, depending on where you hit the drum and how you hit the drum. Softly, loudly, rim shots. You hear the difference between and rim shots. That's on one drum. You can change sounds by. You got effects, bells, these zillion effect symbols. That's an incredible sound. Ring, splash cymbals, all sorts of different sounds. You've got cymbal bells, cymbal, crash cymbal. I don't like nylon tips, never have done. I think I've only ever used them once, and that was the end of that. No, for me, wood on cymbal is what works. You've got this. Now you want a timbali type sound. You got. Paradiddles again. Snare on. I saw his drum kit advertised for £3, $5, and it was a toy drum kit, really, but it was a drum kit, and that was my first drum kit. And it was just a wooden bass drum with one head, so I cut up my tent and made a front head, on which I did a painting, and so it was a canvas front head and a calf back head, and the drum was about this wide. The snare drum had tighteners on the top like bass drums do nowadays, so it was pretty awkward like with these tighteners sticking up, and they were only on the top side with a hook on the bottom, so that the one tightener tensioned both heads with about a 6-string snare with no snare release, and a tiny little tom-tom which was about this deep, which I found a biscuit tin which was the same diameter, and made the drum this deep by adding a biscuit tin to the shell, and that was my first drum kit. There's some very inventive things that you can do using effects. One of my favorites, now this is coming out on the Masters album. This is not Gimme Water, this is JB Witch Dance, where first of all I started for an effect using this little Zildjian flat top circa 1972 on the tom-tom, and using it as a call it the dustbin lid effect. We can then make this sound. Did that get in there? That was pretty cool. We can put one of these on top and we get. We can add an effects on the top. In fact, let's try this one. These are all different little sounds you can get. This should sound pretty cool. That's the JB Witch Dance lineup.